For 15 long years, she had not walked. Her people called her cursed, some called her broken, many looked at her with pity, and some with disgust. She lived in a chair with wheels, rolling through the stone streets of her alien city, watching life move fast while she stayed still. Her name was Leora, and once she had been a bright child, running in the gardens of her home, chasing lights in the night sky. But an accident long ago had taken her legs, leaving her body weak. Since that day, she had never stood again. Doctors had tried, healers had prayed, but nothing worked. Her people soon gave up hope. And when they gave up, she gave up too. The years passed slowly, one season after another. Children grew tall, friends became strangers, and she remained in her chair. The markets were loud with voices, but none called her name. The festivals were bright with color, but she was never invited. She sat by the window each night, staring at the stars, wondering if her life would always be like this. Her world was quiet, until the day a stranger came. A human, different from everyone else in the city. He walked with strong steps, his clothes marked with dust of travel, and his eyes sharp like fire. The crowd turned to watch him, whispers rising. Humans were rare here, almost legends. Some feared them, others mocked them. But this one moved with calm power, as if nothing could shake him. Leora noticed him from her chair in the corner of the square. The wheels of her chair squeaked as she turned to see better. He was unlike anyone she had seen before. She expected him to look at her the way others did, with pity or disgust. But when his gaze fell on her, he did not look away. His eyes held no pity, no disgust, only a strange, quiet respect. Her heart beat faster, a feeling she had not felt in many years. The human walked closer, the crowd parting before him. When he reached her, he crouched down so their eyes were level. "You look like someone who has been waiting a long time," he said, his voice calm and steady. Leora blinked, shocked that he spoke to her at all. Most people passed her by as if she were invisible. I have been waiting," she whispered, "but I do not know for what." The human studied her broken legs, the twisted frame of her chair, and then looked back into her eyes. "Perhaps you were waiting for me," he said, and for the first time in 15 years, Leora felt a spark of hope. She wanted to laugh at the idea, but her voice caught in her throat. No one had ever spoken to her like that. No one had ever suggested that her waiting had a purpose. "Who are you?" she asked. "My name does not matter now," he said. "What matters is this. I can help you walk again." The words struck her like thunder. Her people had told her it was impossible. The healers had said her body was beyond saving. But this stranger, this human, spoke as if it were simple. Her hands trembled on the wheels of her chair, her eyes filled with tears. "Do not play with me," she whispered. "I have dreamed too many times, only to wake up the same." The human leaned closer, lowering his voice so only she could hear. "I do not dream, child," he said. "I build, I repair, I change what others believe cannot be changed." From the bag on his shoulder, he pulled a small case of shining metal. Inside, hidden under cloth, were strange parts that glowed with faint light. Leora gasped, never having seen such things before. The human closed the case quickly, hiding it from the eyes of the crowd. Then he placed his hand gently on hers, strong but not cruel. "If you wish to walk again, come to me," he said. "But know this, once you take this path, nothing in your life will ever be the same." Leora sat frozen, her heart racing, her breath unsteady. For 15 years, she had been paralyzed, trapped, forgotten. And now a stranger stood before her, offering the one thing she had prayed for every night. Hope burned inside her like a flame, but fear whispered louder. Could she trust him? Was he real, or just another cruel joke from the world? As the human rose to his feet and began to walk away, Leora realized her choice was near. Her hands gripped the arms of her chair, her voice shaking as she whispered to herself, What if he is telling the truth?" And for the first time in 15 years, she felt alive. Leora could not sleep that night. The human's words echoed in her mind again and again. "I can help you walk again." She sat by her window, watching the stars, her hands trembling as she replayed the moment. For 15 years no one had given her real hope, and now a stranger had lit a fire inside her heart. The next morning she went to the marketplace again, her chair squeaking as she moved. Her eyes searched every face, hoping to see the human. She told herself she was foolish. Maybe he was only passing through. Maybe he had lied. But deep inside she prayed he would appear. And then she saw him, standing near a fruit stall, speaking to the vendor in his deep, calm voice. People kept their distance, whispering in low tones. Some were afraid of him, some simply curious, but none dared to step close. Leora rolled her chair toward him, each turn of the wheel heavy with nerves. When he saw her, he smiled faintly, a smile that felt strange and warm. "You came," he said, as if he had known she would. "I had to," she answered, her voice quiet. "I need to know if your words were real." The human crouched beside her again, lowering his voice. "They were real, more real than anything you have known." From the strap across his chest, he lifted the same metal case. He did not open it fully, but he let her see a glimpse of glowing steel and tiny moving parts. Her eyes widened, a mix of fear and wonder. What is it?" she asked. "Something your people have never built," he replied. "Cybernetic legs, a gift of human engineering, a bridge between flesh and machine." Leora's breath caught in her throat. She had heard of machines, but never ones that could become part of her body. "Is it safe?" she whispered. The human's gaze hardened. "Safe? No, nothing powerful is ever truly safe, but it will give you what you desire: freedom, strength, a life beyond this chair." She looked down at her useless legs, thin and weak, forgotten by time. She thought of all the years wasted watching others run, while she only dreamed. I do not know if I am brave enough," she confessed. The human placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "Courage is not about being ready," he said. "It is about stepping forward even when you are not." Their eyes met, and in that moment she felt something shift inside her. For years she had been invisible, ignored, unwanted. But this stranger saw her, not as broken, not as cursed, but as someone worth saving. "Why would you help me?" she finally asked, her voice shaking. The human looked away for a moment, as if remembering something painful. "Because once, long ago, someone helped me when I was broken," he said softly. "And now I pass that gift on." Before she could answer, a sharp voice cut through the air. Two alien guards approached, their armor shining under the sun. "Human," one barked, "you do not belong here. Show us what you carry." The human calmly shut his case, standing tall. "I carry nothing for you," he said firmly. The guards glared at him, but their eyes shifted to Leora. "What business do you have with this cripple?" one sneered. Leora flinched, shame burning her chest, but the human stepped forward, shielding her. "Do not call her that again," he said coldly, his voice like steel. The guards hesitated and used to such defiance. After a tense moment, they muttered threats and walked away, their armor clattering against the cobblestones. Leora's hands shook. "They could have hurt you," she whispered. The human gave a small smile. "I have faced worse." Then he leaned close once more, speaking low so only she could hear. "Meet me at the old warehouse outside the city, tonight after dark," he said. "If you truly wish to change your life, come." Her heart pounded, her mind racing with fear and excitement. The human walked away, disappearing into the crowd like a shadow, leaving her alone with her thoughts. She sat frozen for a long time, the word warehouse echoing in her ears. That evening, as the sun dipped and the streets grew quiet, Leora sat by her window again, staring at the horizon. The choice lay before her like a heavy weight. If she went, everything could change. If she stayed, she would remain in her chair forever. Her breath came fast, her fingers gripping the armrests of her chair. Finally, she whispered to herself, "I will not live like this anymore." Her wheels turned, carrying her into the night, toward the unknown. And for the first time in 15 years, she was not afraid. The old warehouse stood at the edge of the city, its roof half broken, its walls covered in dust and shadows. The night air was cold, and the streets empty. Only the sound of her chair's wheels echoed in the silence. Leora's heart pounded in her chest. Each turn of the wheel felt heavier than the last. Every corner she passed whispered fear. What if this was a trap? What if the human was not what he seemed? But her hope pushed her forward, stronger than her fear. For 15 years she had lived in stillness. Now she was moving toward something new. When she reached the warehouse, the doors creaked open, and a faint light glowed inside. She rolled her chair in slowly, her eyes searching. The human was there, waiting in the center of the wide, empty space. A lantern burned beside him, casting sharp shadows across his face. He was already setting tools on a table, strange shining devices unlike anything she had ever seen. The metallic case was open, and inside rested the parts of the cybernetic legs. They glowed softly with blue light, wires coiling like veins, joints moving as if alive. Leora gasped, her hands gripping the armrests of her chair. They look alive, she whispered. The human looked up, his eyes calm but serious. They are not alive, but they will give you life, he said. Are you ready to hear what must be done? Her throat felt dry, but she nodded. The human stepped closer, his voice steady. These legs will not simply attach like armor. They will become part of you. Your nerves, your blood, your very body must accept them. The process will hurt. You may even wish to stop halfway. But if you endure, you will walk again. The weight of his words pressed on her. She glanced at her thin, wasted legs, and then at the glowing metal. What if I fail? She asked in a trembling voice. The human knelt down in front of her, meeting her eyes. Failure is not in your body, he said. It is only in your heart. If you give up, you lose. If you fight, you win. Leora swallowed hard, tears stinging her eyes. No one had ever spoken to her like this. Her people had given her pity, but never belief. This human, a stranger, believed in her more than she believed in herself. I want to try, she whispered, her voice breaking but strong with resolve. The human gave a small nod, as if he had been waiting for that answer. Then you must trust me completely, he said. Because once I begin, there is no turning back. He began preparing the table, laying out instruments, cleaning the metallic limbs. The warehouse filled with the hum of energy as the parts came to life. Blue light pulsed through the wires, and the joints clicked with mechanical rhythm. It was both terrifying and beautiful. Leora's chair rolled closer, as if her body wanted this more than her mind could admit. She looked at the human, fear in her eyes. Why me? She asked softly. Why give this gift to me, when so many others are stronger? The human paused, then answered with quiet weight. Because strength is not in the body, it is in the soul, and yours has survived 15 years of chains. That makes you stronger than anyone else. Her chest tightened, her breath shaky. For so long she had believed she was weak, broken, worthless. Now, for the first time, she believed she might be more. The human placed his hand gently on her shoulder. This will be painful, he warned. More painful than anything you have known. But if you endure, when you open your eyes again, the world will never see you the same. Leora closed her eyes, her heart racing. Her whole life had been filled with stillness, with waiting, with longing. Now she stood, or rather, sat, at the edge of something greater. Fear clawed at her chest, but hope burned brighter. I am ready, she whispered, her voice steady at last. The human gave a short nod and began his work. The whirring of tools filled the air, sparks danced in the lantern light. The cybernetic legs gleamed, waiting to take their place. And as the night deepened around the broken warehouse, a new future was about to be forged. The warehouse was silent except for the hum of strange machines. The lantern light flickered, throwing shadows across the walls. Leora lay on a metal table the human had prepared, her hands gripping the sides so tightly her knuckles turned pale. Her chair stood empty nearby, as if it already knew its time was ending. The human worked with steady hands, moving tools with the focus of someone who had done this many times before. He placed the glowing cybernetic legs on the table beside her, and they hissed with quiet energy, their joints twitching like living creatures. Leora stared at them, her heart beating fast. They look alive, she whispered. They are not alive, the human said calmly. But they will answer to you. They will carry your weight, your pain, and your will. He rolled up her clothing carefully, exposing the useless limbs she had hated all her life, thin and twisted. Leora closed her eyes in shame, but the human's voice was steady. Do not look at them with hate, he said. They carried you through 15 years of survival. Now let them rest. Then the work began. The human injected something cold into her veins, and a wave of dizziness swept over her. Her vision blurred, but she forced herself to stay awake. She wanted to see this moment, the end of her prison, the beginning of her life. The first cut was sharp, a flash of burning pain shooting through her body. She cried out, her voice echoing against the warehouse walls. The human did not stop, his hands moving with precision. Metal met flesh. Wires touched nerves. Sparks hissed as circuits came alive. Her breath came in short gasps, sweat rolling down her forehead. "Hold on," the human said, his voice calm. "Pain means your body is fighting. Fighting means it wants to live." His words were an anchor in the storm of agony. The cybernetic legs began to attach, the glowing metal fusing with bone and muscle. Every nerve screamed, her body trembling violently. Tears streamed from her eyes as she gritted her teeth. "I cannot," she gasped, but the human leaned close, his voice like steel. "You can. You have endured worse than this for 15 years. Do not stop now." His hands worked faster, sparks bursting in the air. Her screams filled the warehouse. But beneath the pain was something else, strength. The wires dug deeper, the circuits aligned. Her blood met the machine. And slowly, she felt something she had not felt in years, sensation in her legs. It was faint at first, like the brush of a whisper against her skin. Then stronger, a pulse, a thrum, a rhythm that matched the beating of her heart. Her eyes flew open, gasping. I can feel them," she cried, her voice trembling with shock. The human gave the smallest of smiles, sweat shining on his brow. "Good. That means the bond has begun." The final connection was the hardest, a surge of energy rushing through her body like lightning. She screamed louder than ever, her hands clawing at the table, her body arching. The human pressed down, steadying her. "Breathe," he commanded. "Do not let it break you." Her vision turned white, her body shaking violently. Then, suddenly, silence. The machines quieted, the sparks faded. Her chest rose and fell in ragged breaths, the glow of the cybernetic legs pulsing with her heartbeat. For a long moment, she could not move, only stare at the strange, beautiful limbs that were now hers. "Try," the human whispered, stepping back, his eyes fixed on her. Leora's hands trembled as she pushed against the table. Her body felt heavier, stronger, as if every part of her had changed. Her feet, her new feet, touched the ground. They were steady, firm, alive. She gasped, tears filling her eyes. Her legs trembled, but they did not collapse. Slowly, shakily, she rose. One moment she was lying broken, the next she was standing tall. Her voice broke into a sob. I am standing." The human nodded, his face calm, but his eyes bright with pride. "Yes, and soon you will walk," he said. She took a step, then another, her body unsteady but determined. Every nerve screamed with new sensation, every muscle fought to adjust. But she kept moving, her tears falling like rain. After 15 years of chains, she was free. She turned to the human, her voice trembling with emotion. You gave me life," she whispered. He shook his head. "No, I only gave you legs. What you do with this life, that will be your gift to yourself." And with that, Leora took another step forward, not as a crippled girl, but as someone reborn. The first light of dawn touched the city as Leora stepped through the gates. Her legs were stiff, every movement heavy, but they carried her forward. Each step was fire and thunder in her body, yet she did not stop. For the first time in 15 years, she walked the streets instead of rolling through them. People stared, their eyes wide with shock. Some rubbed their eyes as if they could not believe what they were seeing. Others whispered in hushed voices, pointing at the glowing cybernetic legs beneath her robe. Children gasped, running beside her, their laughter filled with awe. But the adults were different. Fear crept into their faces. She was crippled, one muttered. "How does she stand now?" "It must be witchcraft," another said. "No," whispered an old man. "It is human work." Leora felt the weight of their stares, but she kept walking. Every step was a victory, every breath a reminder she was free. The chair that once trapped her was gone, replaced by the sound of her own feet striking stone. Her heart pounded with pride and fear together. She passed the market square, and silence spread like fire. Merchants stopped shouting, buyers stopped haggling, all eyes turned to her. The same place where she had once sat forgotten, invisible, now trembled with whispers of her name. Is it really her? She walks, she truly walks. No cripple could rise so quickly, This is dangerous. Leora's hands clenched, but she kept her head high. She would not bow, not again. For the first time she felt tall, not because of her legs, but because she refused to hide. Later that day, she returned home, her family staring at her in disbelief. Her mother covered her mouth with shaking hands, tears running down her face. Her father dropped the tool he held, his eyes wide. "Leora, it cannot be you," he whispered. "It is me," she said softly, stepping forward. "I am whole again." They embraced her, holding her as if she were reborn. But even in their joy, fear remained. Her father whispered, "Who did this? What power gave you this gift?" When she answered, "A human," the room fell silent. Her parents exchanged a glance filled with worry. "You must be careful," her mother whispered. "Our leaders do not trust his kind. They will not let this go unchallenged." And they were right. By nightfall, rumors spread across the city. Some spoke of a miracle, others of a threat. Leaders in tall towers argued in secret. "A human has given one of ours forbidden strength," one counselor warned. "If he can change the broken into the powerful, he can change us all," another whispered in fear. "Then he must be stopped," the leader said, his voice cold. But Leora did not know of their plans yet. She was learning to walk, to run, to feel the wind in her face. Each day she pushed herself further, climbing steps, crossing streets, racing the children who once mocked her. She laughed for the first time in years, her voice bright and alive. She felt reborn, not as a cripple, not as cursed, but as someone unstoppable. Still, shadows followed her joy. Everywhere she went, whispers spread. Some praised her, others cursed her. Some reached out in hope, begging the human to help their sick, their broken. But others spat in fear. "She is unnatural, she is dangerous." One evening, as she stood on a hill outside the city, watching the stars with her new legs planted firm in the earth, the human appeared beside her. "You have walked far," he said, his voice carrying quiet pride. "I have," she smiled. "I feel alive again." "But do you see the danger now?" he asked, his tone heavy. "They will not understand. They will fear what they cannot control." Leora's smile faded, her heart tightening. "They already whisper," she admitted. "Some call me miracle, some call me cursed." The human nodded, looking out at the city's glowing lights. "Fear is stronger than wonder. They will come, not to thank me, but to silence me. And when they do, they will try to take you too." Leora's chest tightened. After finally gaining her freedom, would it all be stolen again? She clenched her fists, her new legs glowing faintly with energy. "No," she said firmly. "I will not go back to the chair. I will not let them take this from me." The human's eyes studied her. Then he gave a faint smile. "Good, because soon you will have to choose. You cannot remain only a girl who walks. You must decide who you truly are now." The night wind howled around them, carrying the weight of his words. And deep in the city, council guards were already preparing to march. The night was heavy with silence, but in the council chambers there was no peace. Leaders gathered around a long stone table, their faces hard, their voices sharp. "The human has changed her," one spat. "If he can give legs to the crippled, what else can he do?" Another slammed his fist. "He brings danger. He brings rebellion. If one broken girl can rise, others will demand the same." The council leader stood, his robes flowing like shadow. "Then we must end this before it spreads. Bring the human to us. Take the girl if needed. Break this illusion of power." At dawn, armored guards moved through the streets, their boots striking in rhythm. The people watched from their doorways, whispers spreading like wildfire. "They are searching for him. They will take the girl too." Some eyes held pity, some held fear, but none dared to speak aloud. Leora did not yet know. She was in the training yard behind her home, pushing her body to its limits. Sweat poured down her face as she ran, jumped, and balanced on legs that were half flesh, half machine. Every motion felt like a dream she refused to wake from. She laughed breathlessly, shouting, "I am alive," as her parents watched with tearful eyes. But the joy ended when the doors crashed open. 6 guards stormed in, their armor gleaming, their weapons raised. "By order of the council, you will come with us," one barked, pointing his blade at Leora. Her parents rushed forward, crying, "She has done no wrong." The guard shoved them aside, his voice cold. She is no longer one of us. She carries forbidden power. She will answer for it. Leora froze. Her breath caught in her throat. Fear clawed at her chest, not of pain, but of losing what she had just gained. I will not go back, she whispered, her legs glowing faintly as if alive. The guards closed in, their weapons ready. But then a voice thundered through the yard, calm yet unshakable. She will not go anywhere with you. The human stepped from the shadows, his eyes burning with quiet fire. He held no weapon, only his steady stance. The guard sneered. You dare defy the council, outsider? The human did not flinch. I dare because I am not your servant, and neither is she. The guards lunged, their blades flashing. But the human moved like a storm, his hand striking one guard aside, his foot sweeping another to the ground. Metal clanged against stone as two fell groaning. The others hesitated, shocked at his speed. Leora's heart pounded, her instincts screaming. For so long she had been helpless, watching others fight while she sat powerless. But now she had legs. She clenched her fists, stepping forward. One guard raised his blade toward the human's back, and without thinking, she moved. Her leg struck out, metal meeting armor with a crack that echoed. The guard flew backward, crashing into the wall, his weapon clattering away. Everyone froze, even Leora herself. She stared at her leg, at the glow running through it. I fought, she whispered in disbelief. The human gave her a sharp nod. Yes, and you will fight again, because they will not stop. The guards regrouped, anger flashing in their eyes. You are both enemies of the council, their leader spat. We will return with more men. You cannot stand against us all. They dragged their injured away, their threats hanging in the air. Silence fell over the yard, broken only by Leora's trembling breath. Her parents clutched her arms, their faces pale with fear. What have you done? Her father whispered. They will not rest now, they will destroy you. Leora's hands shook, but her eyes burned with fire. I will not bow to them, she said firmly. They chained me for 15 years, they will not chain me again. The human placed a hand on her shoulder, steady and strong. You have taken your first step into battle, he said. But now you must choose. If you stand with me, you will fight for more than yourself. You will fight for freedom. If you run, you will lose everything. Leora swallowed hard, her chest rising and falling. Her whole life had been small, filled with waiting, silence, and pity. Now it burned with danger, with choice, with power. She looked at the human, her voice steady despite the fear in her heart. I will not run, I will stand with you. The human gave a small nod, his eyes full of respect. Then be ready, because the storm has only begun. And in the distance, the sound of war drums echoed through the city. The city was no longer quiet. War drums echoed from the council halls, horns blared through the streets, and armored troops marched in rows. The people whispered in fear, watching from their windows. They are coming for the human. They will take the girl too. Some prayed, some cursed, but no one dared to stand with them. Leora stood with the human at the edge of the training yard, her new legs glowing faintly under the moonlight. Her parents begged her to hide, tears in their eyes. Please, Leora, her mother cried. Do not fight them. You will be crushed. But Leora shook her head, her voice steady though her heart raced. I lived 15 years in chains. I will not return to them. If I bow now, I lose everything. The human placed a hand on her shoulder. They will not stop until one of us falls, he said. Are you ready for that? Her chest tightened, but she met his gaze with fire. Yes, she whispered. Because you gave me more than legs. You gave me a reason to stand. The ground shook as the council guards arrived, dozens in heavy armor, weapons gleaming in torchlight. At their front stood the council leader himself, his voice sharp as steel. Surrender the human. Give us the girl, and your lives will be spared. The human stepped forward, calm as ever. No, he said. You cannot take what is not yours. The leader sneered, raising his hand. Then both of you will be destroyed, he shouted, and the army surged forward. The clash was thunder, blades against stone, shields against fists. The human moved like a storm, disarming, striking, never slowing. But even he could not face them all. Leora's breath came fast, her legs humming with power, her mind torn between fear and courage. She saw the human stumble under a rain of blows, and something inside her snapped. With a cry that shook the night, she charged. Her legs burned with light, every strike echoing with strength. She moved faster than she believed possible, her kicks sending armored soldiers crashing to the ground. The crowd gasped as the once broken girl fought like fire. She is not crippled anymore, someone whispered in awe. She is a weapon, another said in fear. The battle raged, but with every strike, Leora grew stronger. Not because of the metal, but because of her will. For years she had been silent. Now her voice rose above the clash. "I will never bow again," she shouted, her words carrying through the chaos. The council leader saw his men falling and snarled. "You are a curse upon us all," he roared, drawing his blade and charging at her. Leora froze for a heartbeat, fear flashing through her. But the human's voice rang out, strong and steady. "Stand tall, Leora. They cannot break you unless you let them." Her fear melted into fire. She met the leader head-on, their clash ringing like thunder. His blade struck against her legs, sparks flying. But the metal held, stronger than steel. With a cry of defiance, she struck forward, her kicks slamming into his chest. The leader flew back, crashing into the ground, his weapon clattering away. Silence fell, broken only by the sound of her breathing. The guards hesitated, their leader defeated, their courage faltering. Slowly, they stepped back, retreating into the shadows, dragging their wounded with them. The drums faded, the torches dimmed, and the night grew still again. Leora stood trembling, sweat pouring down her face, her heart hammering. Her parents rushed to her side, holding her tightly. The human stood nearby, his eyes steady, his voice calm. "You chose well," he said. "You stood not just for yourself, but for your people. That is the true gift." Tears filled her eyes as she looked at him. "They called me broken, cursed, useless," she whispered. "But you made me believe I could be more." He shook his head. "No, Leora, I only gave you the legs. The strength was always yours." She looked down at the glowing metal fused to her body, then at her family, then back at the human. For 15 years she had been chained to the ground, but now she stood tall. Not as a cripple, not as cursed, but as someone reborn. She raised her voice so all could hear. "He gave me legs, but more than that, he gave me life, and I will never bow again." The people in the shadows listened, some with awe, some with fear. But deep inside, a new whisper began to spread, not of curses, not of fear, but of hope. And as the stars burned bright above them, Leora knew her story was only beginning.